It's time for a little bit of science. I'm Will Grant, an associate professor in science communication at the Australian National University.
And I'm Rod Lamberts. I'm a 30-year science communication veteran with the mind of a teenage boy.
And today, well, we've been at the Beach Large Hadron Collider.
Yeah, drinking in swimming cocktails. In fact, I'm still there. I don't know where you are.
Of isotopes and science and stuff like that. So rather than giving you our regular pile of science,
We've saved you something delicious. We've been squirreling away little snippets throughout the millennium, and you're going to get a bunch of those right now. It's going to be fab.
enjoy.
So, a number of years ago, I was snowboarding in a Japanese resort that was less touristy and popular, so it was a little bit wilder. There was
Oh, you went to the hipster one.
I went to the hipster
you
one.
weren't like the mainstream kids that go to everywhere.
I didn't know that until we got there. I got there and I was like, holy
you sure?
shit. Yeah, I didn't. I was just, my better half said, let's go to this one. Apparently not as many tourists. When we got there, I was like, that was true. So there was a lot less English. The maps were a little harder to interpret, maybe a little less detailed of the runs. So we're shushing around through the trees, we're having a great time, blah, 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 blah. And then we decided, it's time to go back to the only building where they served food, have a nice icy beer, have some katsudon, and, think about what a great day it was. So we started looking at this not brilliant map for a way back. And I was like, okay, there seem to be two ways from where we are to go back. One is long, windy, but easier.
I took the path less travelled.
Exactly. One is not long and windy. It's shorter, but it's probably looks a bit steeper, a bit
wolves.
bumpier. There are wolves, giant spiders, and people with laser guns.
Yeah, totally.
It was steeper and a bit bumpier, and we thought,
Sure.
it's quicker. We'll go down that way. It should be fine. So as we're going down, I was like,
Collective decision?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're heading down, and I'm like, this is actually really steep, and these aren't bumps, these are moguls. And for those who are listening about snow, very deliberate bumps that trash.
And you are both snowboarders?
We're both snowboarders.
Yeah.
And we're getting down, and I'm like, I can just put on my big boy pants and I'll do it. It's cool, And so I'm doing turns, and I'm not falling over. I'm not landing on my butt. I'm not doing, for you snowboard people, falling leaf, where you just kind of waft down without turning. You get to the bottom, I'm like, this is pretty cool. And then I see a sign that says, this is a double black diamond expert run.
Oh, nice.
And I'm
you
like,
accidentally did the double black diamond expert.
International. And I'm like,
Olympic gold medal,
exactly. And
murder.
That is not what I am. That's not me. I would never classify myself
But
that way.
now you are, yes, of course.
No, not at all. I wouldn't
And then
afterwards
Kurt
either.
Cobain was at the bottom.
Was he? He wasn't a snowboarder. He died too young. That's what he told me when I met him. Thank you. But I remember clearly thinking, if at the top you'd said to me to go down this, it's a double black diamond, blah, 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 I would have said, fuck that, I'm going the other way.
Indeed.
No way in shit I would have done it. So why I'm telling you this is, there's a whole bunch of work in psychology about how we're affected by pre-existing expectations of what's possible.
Yeah, okay.
And there's another area which is sort of half theoretical and half practical, about upper limits and how we get in our own way about stuff because we think too hard or we worry about stuff, etc. And I was recently reminded of this wild and classic case, a guy called George Dantzig. Now, not like Glenn Dantzig of the famous band Dantzig, because he's got a T in the name, whereas Glenn Dantzig doesn't.
I don't know either of the people, so tell me more about the George one.
So George, he got his PhD in your mathematics, in the first half of the 20th century, early-ish, towards the middle. He joined the US Air Force as a mathematical advisor.
Wow.
I know. And this is pre or early World War II. They asked him to work on methods for improving planning processes, to do things like sort out inputs and outputs, people, money, gear, etc.
That's way more boring than I thought.
It really is. But the idea was to reduce costs, inflict the biggest bang for buck so you could, maximize stuff. Maximum efficiency, a lot of moving parts to maximize efficiency.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
It's an air force.
It is an air force in a time of war.
Yeah, indeed.
So a lot of resources, a lot of shit, a lot of unexpected changes.
Yeah. Maths can help.
Maths can help. So his original example of this, he was aimed to find the best way to assign, apparently, 70 people to 70 jobs. I don't have the details.
70 people to 70 jobs?
70 people, 70 jobs.
Why 70?
I don't know.
I mean, I understand why the same number.
I don't know. Just for some reason, that was one of his early...
As I was going through St Ives, I met 70 people with 70
wives.
jobs and 70 wives.
Kittens, cat.
Yeah.
How many were going there? Just me.
Yeah. Wow. That's how you solve maths.
Yeah.
It's trick questions.
Yeah, you're fucking with me. It was the surgeon's daughter. The surgeon was a woman. There is no trolley. So apparently it would take, to actually test every permutation of this, would take humongous amounts of computing power.
Yeah, sure.
And one source said the number of possible configurations exceeds the number of particles in the universe.
Sure. Yeah, like 70 times 69 times 68. Well, yeah, cool.
Your factorials.
But I think surely the normal approach to this is mostly it doesn't matter. Like, because half of the jobs, you just put someone in it.
Just do it.
And just
you can dig a hole, and you also no. Apparently not. Apparently there was some your details and your things. So he got on with it, and by doing this and finding a way to do it well, he pioneered the simplex algorithm. And I mean, I know you know it, and I know it, but it's the foundation, obviously, of linear programming. Right?
Okay.
Yeah? Very complicated. I started to read about it. It's like I can't get my head around it. Better yet, explain it. The bottom line is, what does it do? The important thing is, what does it do? If you look at the Air Force problem as a linear program and apply this simplex algorithm, it takes moments to find the optimum solution, the best way to allocate resources to get the job done, etc. That's
your
the bottom
70
line.
workers, it can put them in the best version.
The best way they should do it, blah, 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 blah. It drastically reduces the number of possible optimum solutions that need to be checked. So it cuts down the field and goes, okay, these are the ones that are left.
And that's why America won the war?
100%. That's the end of the story.
Right.
Next, hit the button. So his method for optimizing the system has become the backbone of all kinds of logistics even today. Modern algorithms do this, from airline routes, delivery networks, etc. But it was kept secret till 1947. But since then, everyone's using it. But why does this have to do with snowboarding and being confident beforehand or not knowing the odds? When Dantzig was at grad school in Berkeley, 1939, he's running late for a statistics lecture. Runs into the room and he sees the homework's already been written on the blackboard. So he writes it down. He goes, okay, there's 2 problems to be solved. No worries, I'll take them home. I'll get onto them. And he thought, fuck, they're a bit harder than usual, but that's cool. I'll get into them.
Okay.
So it took him a few days, but he worked them out. He runs in when he's finished and he hands them to his professor, and he was worried that he'd handed them in late. So he apologizes to Neyman, his professor, for taking too long.
Generally just apologise, fine.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm so sorry. The problems were a little harder than usual, but I asked him if he still wanted the submission, and he said, yeah, put it on my desk.
Yep.
He was worried about doing this because apparently his desk was covered in papers and stuff.
He's a maths professor.
Yeah, so he's just like, but that means I'm going to be later than ever. I'm like, anyway, I've handed him my assignment. About 6 weeks later, there's a knock on his door one Sunday morning. He and his wife are woken up like, who the fuck's knocking on the door?
A maths professor.
A maths professor was knocking on his door.
I'm going to jump ahead for a second here. It's Goodwill Hunting. Your maths was so good, I had to come and knock on your door on a Sunday morning.
This was literally the inspiration for Goodwill Hunting.
But also, I just got to pause for a second, and I am someone who marks papers. I've had good papers. I love good student papers, but I have never gone, I got to go knock on their door on a Sunday morning.
It's because we're not allowed to know where they live. Otherwise I would have done it 40 times. Easily. Hi, I'm here. Why? That was a really good essay.
It was so
away?
good.
You're creeping me out.
So good.
Is your wife here?
Like, the world has changed.
It has.
The idea that you would just go, your paper was so good, I've got to wake you up. Hi.
Hello. Well done. So apparently, the reason he turned up, he had the papers in his hand. He said, I've just written an introduction to one of your papers. This dude had never written any. Read it through so I can send it out for publication immediately.
Oh, I'm going to publish your student essay.
Immediately. The solution to one of the 2 problems. Because it turned out the problems on the blackboard that he'd solved, thinking they were homework, were actually 2 famous unsolved problems in statistics.
That is so the Goodwill Hunting. That's awesome.
This is exactly it.
That is awesome. Okay, I'm happy with that.
So Dantzig kind of went, there you go.
I can do maths.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at it. Stats. A year later, he wasn't sure what to do for his PhD thesis. His supervisor said, just put those 2 solutions together in a binder. We'll call that your PhD.
Nice.
Which is pretty good. So the second paper
I would have
came
thought
out.
do something new.
No need.
No, generally, as someone who looks after PhD programs, it's nice you did it before. What have you done for me lately?
In the 2020s.
What have you done for me lately?
Not for you.
Is the number one question of
The
PhD
discipline.
programs.
It's the discipline. When there was no one knew anything in the 1940s, 30s.
You still got to do something new.
He did.
What have you done for me lately?
He solved those 2 problems.
This is why I would be a better supervisor of Goodwill Hunting.
And maths.
Yeah.
So 1950, the second paper came out for the second problem. So there's a maths master called Abraham Volt. He sent a letter with the final proofs of the paper to a journal called the Annals of Mathematical Statistics. Someone had told him, hang on a minute, this dude Dantzig already did that in his PhD. So he tells Dantzig this is happening, and Dantzig says, that's cool, why don't we publish it together? So Volt says, no worries, just drops his name in his co-author, sends off the proofs, and boom, that's his second paper. So the accidental homework and him not knowing that these things were unsolved, tricky problems meant that he didn't think about whether he could or couldn't, should or shouldn't. And he said, interview in the 80s, if I'd known the problems were not homework, but famous unsolved problems, I probably wouldn't have even thought I could do them. So this is why I say, my takeaway from this is the Han Solo approach, never tell me the odds.
So
just get on with it.
And just stumble your way into Olympic snowboarding. Just
100%.
Just accidentally don't know anything and then just fall
you're like,
down
I won?
That is a great story. That is very cool. I do like that concept.
The snowboard, but also the maths. That was good too.
No, it's very nice. Yeah. Do some hard problems.
Just don't
And
let anyone tell you whether it's possible.
academics and teachers out there, go out and knock on your students' doors
On Sunday mornings.
On Sunday morning.
Early, with a paper in your hand, because that will probably mitigate the disaster that's coming. February 27th, this very year, Air Force Major General, brackets retired, William Neil McCasland left his Albuquerque house with his gun and his wallet, and he disappeared. He was an Air Force Research Lab commander, and he once worked at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which apparently or allegedly is steeped in UFO stuff.
Okay.
And just on the side, while he was one of the people he worked with was a former NASA scientist who went missing in 2025. After he disappeared, his wife gets on the Facebooks.
Sure.
And she says, it's true that Neil, she uses his middle name apparently, so they're a fucking cool couple.
It's a thing people do.
The middle name. I don't. Do you?
You literally announced your middle name at the beginning of this podcast.
But you don't refer to me by my middle name. You can if you want, but you don't. You don't remember what it is. So it's true, she says, that Neil had a brief association with the UFO community. You're thinking, aren't you?
Guffith. It's Guffith.
Frogs. He had a brief association with the UFO community, but this connection is not a reason for someone to abduct him. No one said abduct, but she did. Neil does not have any special knowledge about the ET bodies and debris from the Roswell crash stored at Wright-Patterson Air Base.
No. Okay.
She's just saying.
Just saying. He worked there, but he was in a different department from all of the alien stuff that was there.
Yeah, and it was only brief and whatever, like back off. Back off. By March of 2026, so a month later, the FBI had joined the search for the general.
Yep.
You worried yet?
No.
Me
No,
neither.
I want to know. I mean, I'd be worried if I was emotionally connected to him, but you haven't given me enough to care.
I'm not going to.
Okay.
You got to work out what you care about on your own, man. It's about time. You're 28 years old. Conspiracy theorists started to go, bug fuck crazy. Because there was no doubt the FBI coming in was evidence that this was foul play. Not that he just happened to wander off or whatever.
No, it's a general. I think
It is a retired general.
yeah, that's true.
They don't yawn a lot, so their cerebrospinal fluid goes in the wrong direction. It turns out both Casland and the missing NASA scientist are among cases being investigated for potential connections to each other. So these are just two of them. And in fact, it's just been announced, literally just been announced very recently, this very month, the FBI is looking for any connections among the recent deaths and disappearances of at least 10 scientists who had ties to government science projects or other sensitive information.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I know, right?
Wow.
Is his spine tingling? He's scared.
Kinda. I mean,
a bit worried?
I'm sorry for them individually, of course.
Are you?
Yes. No,
I
absolutely.
thought you weren't emotionally invested.
No, I am. No, I very much am. But there is a moment where you go, "Oh, we're living in a movie." This is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So here are some of them. July 2023, a NASA JPL, Jet Propulsion Lab scientist, Michael David Hicks, he studied comets and asteroids, died of a still unknown cause.
Okay.
2024, Frank Mywald died, couldn't find out how. He was a JPL affiliated space research specialist who did papers on things like mass spectrometry and remote sensing instruments.
Okay. I mean, these are just scientists.
Just the facts, man. Just the facts.
Yeah.
2025, Monica Reza she's a metallurgist and materials engineer at JPL again.
Yeah.
Disappeared while hiking in Los Angeles.
Sure, that happens.
It does. Also, December of that year, 25, Nuno Loeria, name, theoretical physicist and director of MIT Plasma Science and Fusion Center, murdered in his home in Massachusetts.
Oh.
2026, February, other than our General McCasland, Carl Grillmeyer was a Caltech astronomer who studied distant exoplanets, shot and killed outside his home near LA. April 6 this year.
I mean, I am.
Just giving you some facts.
And I want to hear the rest. There is a chunk of violence in America that I kind of feel like
That's
is
just what
this
happens.
the norm?
People just get shot and shit.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. Oh, that's America. April 6th this year, Nick Pope. He dies at the age of 60 from esophageal cancer. So who gives a shit? He was in the UK, but whatever. And it was just cancer. But
Why would you say all those things? But anyway.
because it's like, why would you bring him up? He's just some guy in the UK and was cancers, and he was 60. He's like, well, okay. But it turns out he had investigated unexplained aerial phenomena on behalf of the UK's Ministry of Defence, wrote books on UFO sightings, countless TV appearances.
You said countless books.
Countless books. Might be, I don't know how many. Let's say 6.
It's a lot to get to
6.
countless books.
That is a fuckload of books.
I feel like...
How many?
Yeah,
Oh, no,
that's
800.
too many books if you have to
800.
countless. Like...
900?
You're not taking care.
No.
Like if you have countless children, like that's not good. That's not good.
Even Elon can count. Oh, maybe.
No, Elon doesn't know.
He doesn't know. So, yeah, lots of these TV appearances. He likened himself in his autobiography back in 96 called Open Skies and Closed Minds. He likened himself to Fox Mulder from, the X-Files, obviously.
Sure.
And he's apparently, this is the quote, much fated speaker on the ufology lecture circuit. So he was in the game. Now, I'm not sure if he's part of the FBI's ongoing investigation, but it smells like he might be.
Mm-hmm.
So his high-profile involvement into these unexplained sightings is something that, let's say, certain types of folks might connect with the other ones I've mentioned. But, of course, there's nothing to see here, right? There's nothing to see. This is this coincidence. Americans get shot. People disappear.
I mean, how many people are we talking in the community? I get having a pattern here. Like,
Sure.
So there's a very similar thing, and I talked to you about it a little while ago. There's a great Wikipedia page, the pattern of mysterious deaths in Russia.
Yeah.
Where a lot of people
Defenestration.
Yeah.
All defenestration.
yeah falling out of a window when
Yeah.
they're quite close to Putin.
So they're into UFOs too?
But we can say there's a pattern there.
But maybe there isn't, right?
But I don't know. It's just, it also depends on the size of community we're talking about.
Absolutely.
And,
It's like you say, nothing to see here, right? Nothing to see here.
If there's 100,000 UFO researchers in the US, what's the death rate in that anyway?
7.
Sure.
This is 10. Look, so yeah, you're right. Like, again, nothing to see here. Although, so these cases were highlighted by Donald Trump and Republican lawmakers.
Oh, okay.
And the lawmakers suggested there could be a possible sinister connection between a string of mysterious deaths and disappearances,
Oh, okay.
which could represent a grave threat to US national security and to US personnel with access to scientific secrets.
Wow.
A couple of weeks ago, the House Oversight Committee, they pointed to reports alleging that at least 10 individuals who had a connection to US nuclear secrets or rocket tech have died or mysteriously vanished in recent years. And they announced it was seeking information from the Department of Energy, Department of War, the FBI, and NASA about the scientists and other personnel connected to US nuclear secrets or rocket tech who have died or mysteriously vanished in recent years.
We've jumped from UFOs to energy and rocket tech, where I can imagine
UFOs.
Just to pause, like an opposing military might go, okay, if we can slow down their top scientist in
Sure.
in a rocket or something like that.
It's all connected, man. UFOs. UFOs.
No, but I can give like a defense-based purpose for that. Like,
could.
You imagine a rival, China or whatever, Russia. They're like, okay, America's about to develop this new secret laser death weapon,
Yeah.
and it's all in the mind of scientist X.
Let's kill some of them.
Yeah,
Or disappear them.
yeah, exactly. Fine, but I think what's the UFO motive here?
You got to remember also the FBI is spearheading the effort to look for the connections into the missing scientists. And that's from their own statement.
Okay.
They're spearheading it. So let's take a deep breath
I have.
and yawn.
I've well deep breathed.
You do. What do we actually know? We know the nature of their jobs was connected, or at least connectable.
Connectable.
That's my language.
Connectable.
You could connect them.
like in this modern world, like
What isn't?
indeed.
For aren't we all? We know a bunch of them, but not all of them died of natural causes, or at least seem to. And none of the incidents occurred before 2022. Or another way of putting that is after 2022.
I mean, by definition, you're looking at some incidents that
Join the
occurred
dots,
after
man.
2022. Let's not look at incidents in 2020.
No, join the dots, man.
Join some dots that I've put in a circle for you.
Join the dots, man.
Picking Jesus.
I mean, it's all laying itself out now, right?
I'm just not good at conspiracy theories. Like,
You're not suspicious enough. You think everyone's good.
I kind of do.
They go on to say, it seems there's no credible evidence of any foul play that connects these deaths and disappearances. Regardless, the list, according to conspiracy theory people, it keeps on growing. It's not just the 10. Like just recently, the Daily Mail in the UK, the newspaper of record for this, they reckon they found the 11th person.
Okay.
And also a UFO-linked scientist. 2022, 34-year-old Amy Eskridge died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. How was she connected? She'd been investigating anti-gravity technology.
Oh, anti-gravity technology.
I know.
Look, I don't want to be that guy. But I would say there must be some sort of correlation between people investigating things that most normal physics would say, no, that's not a thing.
Yeah.
And
The truth.
and potential unstable mind.
The truth. You're such a hater.
I don't want to be mean here.
You used to believe in people.
I don't want to be mean.
And by used to, I mean a minute and a half ago, you believed in people. Obviously, in some ways, it's obviously all coincidences, right? It's all coincidences. It's what they want you to think.
Oh, God.
It's what they want you to think. And honestly, I was almost too nervous to bring you this story.
Yeah, you're going to get assassinated now because you...
Or I could disappear with my gun and my passport.
Look, come back when there's 12, and then I'll be...
I reckon that could be like next week.
No, I just, they're not in a community. Like you said, there's some rocket people, and there's some
tell them how to identify. Maybe they
and there's some UFO people.
And anti-gravity.
And anti-gravity people.
And the pommy guy who is Fox Mulder.
So what we've got here, a bunch of scientists and a bunch of pseudoscientists...
And a general.
...have died or disappeared.
Yes. See, when you put it that way, you can see it, right? You can see it. It all makes sense. Anyone who gets any news knows that there's been a bunch of your higher MAGA faithfuls that have been abandoning the dear leader. Tucker Carlson, he's my favourite latest one. Tucker Carlson is renouncing and apologising for having voted for the Don Juan Trump. And a close second is, I think, for me, Marjorie Taylor Greene, good old MTG. And some of the mainstream and social media is giving them all these props, like, good for you, you've seen the light, et cetera, et cetera. I get it, but I also say, well, get fucked because, you backed an idiot and you've been in trouble and you've supported evil forever. Also, you remember Steve Bannon famously spoke about flooding the zone with shit as a deliberate tactic to keep people off balance, to distract from their actual agendas and all that sort of good stuff. And we know pretty damn well it works. So I thought I'd give us a quick reminder of one part of that shit zone from the past, which bizarrely focuses on the noble, unimpeachable science of meteorology. Okay, I promised a time travel trip, back in history. We're going to go back to 2024. So it was a horrible American hurricane season in 2024.
Oh, yeah.
And two of the biggies, Helene and Milton, two separate hurricanes. They weren't related. Milton was unusually big, long, and strong. It was kind of wrong, like it moved in the wrong direction. So it went from...
It's like a backwards hurricane? Or
it spun. No, it moved from the west to the east. So it formed in the west across the Gulf and moved to the east, which is very rare for a hurricane, very unusual. So that was odd. So the bottom line, according to climate scientists, I'll paraphrase the 90 million reports, warmer oceans make for more powerful and destructive storms and more chaotic weather
And
patterns.
Also backwards.
And backwards
and
storms.
Also backwards.
Or
more powerful, more chaotic. I think we've heard that before. That's good. But also backwards. They're going
to go in the wrong direction. So conspiracy theorists, of course, worked out what was really going on here.
How did they help?
Well, for starters, they picked it that it was a collusion among dark government forces, obviously. It would appear they can control the weather.
Yeah.
So after Helene and a bit more after Milton, Marjorie Taylor Greene was one of the leading dumbs, and she said on X, yes, they can control the weather. It's ridiculous for anyone to lie and say it can't be done. So proof positive. And there's also apparently theories like this. So in October in the US, bird migration is really big.
Sure.
And it causes some of the weather radar images to be all fuzzy.
Oh, right. Okay.
So in 2024, conspiracy theorists said, well, obviously the fuzzy images were caused by lasers heating up the atmosphere to create hurricanes. So they are making bad weather and controlling it. But also, not only can they, but they also refuse to control it. Apparently you can fix hurricanes and things like this by doing stuff like, and this is one argument was, the government used chemtrails to spray our skies with chemicals to steer Helene into the mountains of North Carolina.
That would be great.
Amazing.
Like steer it into the mountains, except for the people that live in the mountains.
Yeah, and the birds.
But I've heard before, I think we've talked in the past about, government attempts to use a nuke to stop a hurricane or something. But I like the steer it. We're doing a more gentle thing here. This is a more a nurse and yoke situation.
It really is. It's like, come along. Giant fans is another one. You should use giant fans. And as you mentioned, very popular in America in any large, military force, overwhelming force, like snuff out a hurricane using a nuke. But they chose not to, obviously. So we got a bunch of quotes. Some of these come from Rolling Stone magazine. So meteorologist Matthew Capucci, He said, look, the idea that we can even influence something that big, never mind direct it, is so outlandish it's almost, sadly, funny.
Yeah.
Because an average hurricane's life cycle burns through the energy of about 10,000 nuclear bombs.
Sure, but we've got that many.
Probably do. But that's only one storm.
Yeah, okay.
Even back in 24, meteorologists had heard all the climate change conspiracy and denial theories around. But this one got a bit different. Because according to Capucci, apparently overnight, ideas that once would have been ridiculed as fringe, outlandish, crazy are suddenly becoming mainstream and was making his job a lot more difficult.
Oh, yeah.
Which isn't good. People are just so far gone, he says, it's honestly making me lose all faith in humanity. So he's having a bad time at work in the past. So there started to be reports of meteorologists getting insane messages, a lot of them over X, aka Twitter. They were getting messages, they were being subjected, they say, to a deluge of harassment, misinformation-riddled retorts, and even outright death threats.
Yeah.
So you may remember this meteorologist getting death threats. Stop lying about the government controlling the weather, that people would say, or else. So this meteorologist, Katie Nicolau. So on Twitter, she corrected a bloke who said, Category 5 hurricanes can turn into Category 6, at which point it becomes a tornado.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure that's the same thing.
No, none of that's right.
Yeah.
There apparently, she says, she corrects him, these are different storms with different processes. Though hurricanes can produce tornadoes, it doesn't affect the overall category rating. Like, it makes no sense to rate them higher. Pretty innocuous pushback.
Yep.
She goes on to say anything above a Category 5 would be a tornado. That's not true either. Nicolau tweeted, listen, if you keep saying this sort of stuff, I'm going to scream into an abyss. So she was getting shitty. So after she'd been interviewed by Rolling Stone, someone messaged her, it looked like on Twitter, stop the breathing of those that made them and their affiliates, referring to the people who are creating hurricanes and
Stop the breathing.
Stop the breathing. So she replies, murdering meteorologist won't stop hurricanes. I can't believe I just had to type that. Anyway, Capucci goes back to our man Capucci. Nowadays, there's so much bad information out there that if we spent our time getting rid of it, we'd have no more time to do anything else. So one of the big problems, they say, is people won't believe or they'll misunderstand the warnings or the potential danger. They'll hear it and go, that's just bullshit, so they'll stay. And, of course, they don't trust the experts who are advising them, and that's increasing. So God, we were dumb in the past because we fixed that. That was 2024. Now? I think we're fine because we haven't had another one of those hurricanes, I don't think. So climate's fine. And, yeah, it's all good. The past is another country.
Oh, my God. Okay.
So what do you take away from this? Here's what I take away. There is no science expertise that's safe from danger because MAGA's huge success at flooding the zone full of shit. It's just, there's no way to, you can't help it. If they're going to pick on meteorologists, they're going to pick on anyone.
Really? Making rockets?
What do you mean making rockets?
Or the science of extracting money from the earth?
They're still not safe. For some reason, it'll be like one of your children is identifying differently and we'll have them destroyed. Suddenly all physics is dead. There's also no limit to what motivated and angry and disenfranchised people will believe in, obviously, if it aligns with their bigger fears. And literally, even when it puts them or others or loved ones literally in the path of a hurricane. I mean, that's pretty extreme. That's a bunch of my takeaways from this story, and there are probably 20 more, but, you know, listeners can dial in and tell us about that. Of the 67 nuclear bomb tests that the US conducted in the Marshall Islands back in the 40s and 50s.
I love how many they did.
Fucking so many.
They did so many.
67.
No, but that's just in the Marshall Islands.
Just there,
Like if there's a great website I remember seeing years ago that did like a bomb going off every second or something to represent all the tests.
Oh,
and it goes so long, so hard. Like they did so many tests.
You had to go to bed, come back and
what are you demonstrating here?
They keep going boom. They keep going boom. But this is the early days of that, so they didn't quite know yet.
Yeah.
But I reckon none of these, they all had names, but my favourite name, the most apt name, I think, was the one called Cactus.
Cactus?
Yep. And
No,
for your
what are you calling a nuclear bomb test?
detonating in the air a bomb.
No, don't give it a name.
Cactus.
Oh.
I'd call it like Keith, Neville and Jacinta.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. No. Yes, absolutely.
Mr. Bomb.
Mr.
Actually,
Bomb.
the biggest one ever is Tsar Bomba.
Tsar Bomba.
Like as in like Tsar, the Russian king.
Oh, Tsar. I thought you meant
Tsar.
like Jar Jar Binks.
You just couldn't hear it through the microphone.
I thought you were doing Jar Jar Binks. Tsar Bomba.
Indeed, that's how they That's how Stalin pronounced it. He's like,
Can you imagine?
"Make it a Tsar Bomba."
Missa gonna make a bigger boom boom. No, Mr. Stalin.
I don't know if Jar Jar Binks worked for Stalin, but I like that universe.
Might as well.
There is one universe somewhere.
He's pretty fucking evil. He might as well have worked for Stalin. Anyway, look, this one was called Cactus. And for younger or non-Australian listeners, cactus is a slang in this country for a thing or a situation
It's cactus.
that's totally fucked. So most estimates put the Hiroshima bomb, at 15 kilotons. Cactus was about 18.
Oh, yeah?
It's a fair bit.
But a baby on the scale. Like,
Oh, yeah, they're much bigger. But this was let off on Runit Island in the Marshall Islands. And I'm going to show you a little picture.
Marshall Islands, one of those beautiful
This is a
atolls.
little atoll. Well, this is one of the many atolls.
Little islands on the edge of a circle sort of thing.
On the edge of a circle, exactly. The diameter of a circle. And this one, you can see 2 points listed there. They're about 20 k's apart. So it's not huge.
Yeah.
It's not huge.
You try swimming across.
No. I
So there you go.
I wouldn't walk that
So
far.
there you go.
I'm not saying I'm not dissing their island. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. But it's not huge in the context of letting off a bomb de nucléaire, as they
call it in La France.
as they call it in the Situation Room in the White House. So the mushroom cloud went 6 kilometres into the sky, which is a fair bit. So once it had settled down, at least a bit, but not a lot, I don't think, the US military with a bunch of locals in basically gumboots and tank tops.
Go locals.
Yeah, get in there. We'll give you money, real American dollars. We're going to clean it up a bit. We're going to fill the 10-metre deep cactus crater with contaminated soil and other bits of stuff.
Sure.
Clean up after yourself. So by the time they'd finished testing, not just the cactus, but all these others in the area, there were about, this is great, 120,000 tonnes of tainted material that ended up being dumped in the cactus crater.
Okay.
That's all, though. That's all.
Okay.
Including lethal quantities of plutonium-239,
Sure.
which has a half-life of, want to have a crack?
4 million years.
You're close, 24,000.
Okay.
Pretty much human lifespan, 1 or 2 generations. So then we get to 1977 and 1980. In between those years, they decided they needed to do more than just pop this into a little crater. So they built the Runit Dome as a temporary solution, in huge air quotes. 115 metres across. It's a big fucking dome. Here's how elaborate it was. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Technically 8 layers to this dome, and the blower part makes it look like.
So this is like there's a crater, and they've covered.
They've done all those things. There's edging materials. There's
with a compact. Wow, what even is that?
Very elaborate, right?
Different bits of concrete. It's like concrete on concrete. I mean, it's basically 8 layers of concrete.
Yeah, with a bit of metal and stuff.
Oh yeah, okay, bit of.
It's fucking huge. I mean, if you look at that top photo, those tiny little dots on it are people. It's big.
No, I can't see those people.
Exactly, tiny little dots. You'll see just. You need your glasses. And that's what it looks like in its natural environment. So, look, it's quite an idyllic thing. The thing's huge. It's 115 metres across. Like, there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
So, thanks for your service. They built the crater.
It's done.
They've
It's
done the dome.
over.
All sweet.
Problem fixed.
Yeah. But underneath the crater is a bed of what we would call your porous coral sediment. Porous is a pretty important word.
Yeah, I think so. Okay.
That part of the crater is unlined. There's all these layers, but it's not basically well lined at that level. Because why would you? Groundwater can creep in a little bit.
There's ground ocean, surely, here?
No, when you with your atolls, this is unrelated, but I knew this from my Pacific times.
Yeah.
You get that what they call freshwater lenses that sit underneath atolls, but on top of the salt water.
Oh.
So they actually separate out. So you get freshwater underground.
Listener, I just bloody learned something.
This is by the way.
Oh my God, free bit of fact there on a little bit of science.
I forgot that I knew that. It's things you pick up. Freshwater lenses, but they slowly get thinner and things go wrong. Or people who didn't realise any better would poo into that water because they dig a hole to do a poo and didn't realise they were pooing the lens water. That's another story. So anyway, this porous coral sediment would allow water in, but only groundwater, just a little bit, just to that level, no big deal. 2018, Columbia University chemist Ivana Nikolic-Hughes, you would have guessed that, I know, had been involved in an ongoing research looking at the persistent contamination of nuclear stuff in the Marshall Islands. She saw firsthand the dome's a bit cracked.
What?
Bit cracked. Let's not get hysterical. Also found elevated radiation levels and significant quantities of 5 different radionuclides in soil samples from the island just outside the dome. Could be because of leaks, or it could just be the result of haphazard nature of cleanup efforts, which also resulted in much of the waste being dumped into the lagoon.
Yeah.
It looks idyllic, but maybe the glowing blue is...
Yeah.
So that was 2018. Then in 2020, Los Angeles Times did a big report and it got people a bit jazzed up. It's all cool, though, because a marine radioactivity expert, a guy from Woods Hole Institute, Ken Buesler, he says, look, radioactive leaks from the Runit dome are relatively small. So calm down. There's some leakage, but as he puts it, as long as the plutonium stays under the dome, it won't be a large new source of radiation in the Pacific Ocean.
Okay.
Calm the fuck down.
Fair enough.
Yeah, calm down. Oh, he also says on groundwater, a lot depends on future sea level rise and how things like storms and seasonal high tides affect the flow of water in and out of the dome.
Yeah.
It's a small source right now, but we need to monitor it more regularly to understand what's happening, get the data directly to the affected communities in the region. So he's going, yeah, look, it could get worse. I mean, the obvious thing, climate change, etc. I mean, most of this island is just 2 metres above sea level. And what I love is get the data to the affected communities. We're talking super remote places of small lumps of people, a few hundred people. You can imagine going, oh, here's some data. You might want to know you're living in a dangerous situation where radioactivity might be flooding around you. You should leave.
It's also not just get the data, but maybe you could help.
You could help.
You could offer to say, oh, we might have done some bad things here.
Oops. I'm thinking it's time to rescind the temporary status of that dome because it was considered temporary. It's 50 years later. Maybe do something, but of course...
Should have got the Romans to make the concrete.
Should have, exactly. I don't think that would help if it cracked seawater. Anyway, look, of course it would be extremely expensive, very difficult, resource intensive, etc., etc. But anyway, so there you go. There's your good news story. Good gluten news. Kind of.
Yay! 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 Everyone loves gluten. Even the people that hate gluten or gluten does bad things to them say, "Oh,
we always love the things we hate."
Yeah,
or
exactly.
That hate us.
I want some more gluten.
I was at a restaurant ages ago with a buddy of mine when the gluten-free thing was becoming large, and this woman ordering pizzas, and this waitress, she says, "Oh, would you like that gluten-free?" Or and he goes, "Could I have one with extra gluten?"
Extra gluten.
And I started laughing because I thought, what would that look like?
It's more pizza base on top. Like it's
bread it up harder.
I know. It's like what's the Turkish one? A pide or something like that. Yeah, you've wrapped
7 layers.
You've put more of the base on top.
Turducken pizza
it's
base.
It's a sandwich, like
calzone.
Yeah, it's
calzone is extra gluten pizza. We've solved it. We didn't even know we were here to solve a problem. So anyway, it's fair to say that depending on what news you follow, what influences health people, etc., you may have at least at times in your life been a bit wary of gluten.
Yeah.
And I went through it years ago, decades. My naturopath.
You were the first.
I was the first.
You were the first to go gluten-free.
I might have been second.
You invented it.
It was me. Anyway, that's my story. Good news. I'm the inventor. No, I went through it because I'm always interested by this because, so I go to my naturopath, it was a while ago, decades. He asked me a bunch of things about my, stomachular situation.
And why are you wearing such hippie pants? And you're like, I make them. Would you like to buy some?
Yeah, I'll sell them. I'll swap them for services. You get 6 pairs of pants.
Yeah, I'm in the barter economy.
And a goat, not alive, but hasn't been dead long. He asked me questions about bloating, bowel motions, etc. And at one point he says to me, how often do you fart? And I said, I don't know, 3 to 5. And he goes, a day? That's not very much. So I went, an hour.
Yeah. And then you said, I don't have any magic underpants yet
I don't
count my farts.
But his face, because he literally went, per day, that's not much. And I went, an hour. And he looks at me and goes, well, you're farting too much. So...
Did doctors say that?
Naturopaths.
That sounds a bit...
Naturopaths.
Judgy folk. What
no,
judgy people?
No, just truth tellers.
It's too much.
Straight to eye. I love this guy. He was fabulous. So he says, okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to analyse your hair.
Oh, right, obviously.
Yeah. So he snips a piece of the hair and he puts it in a machine that has electricity.
A naturopath machine.
Naturopath machine that has electricity.
Is a naturopath machine based on legit science?
I don't know. Look, I don't know. But I liked him, so, And
Fine.
I liked him.
Fine.
So he says, okay, you got a wheat allergy.
Weed allergy?
Wheat. Not weed. No, I love weed. Weed's good for me. Wheat allergy. So I'm not surprised because I was, in my 20s living in a group house with a bunch of boys in their 20s and we ate, as you would expect, 20-year-olds in the 1990s to eat in group houses. Pizza, bread.
No, pizza didn't come to Australia till after the 1990s.
We made our own.
You made your own. Look at you.
No, we didn't. Domino's just started. What do we have for dinner? It's like, we're going to order pizza. Let's stop fucking around. So I tried all these things. So I went gluten-free, and then I was kind of wheat avoidant, and then I was like, I don't care anymore, and I got mixed results. I think there are many confounds.
I love your final sample. Condition is, I don't care anymore.
I don't care anymore.
I don't think that's a scientific method.
It's fucking hard. Going gluten-free, it's not easy now, but back then it was a nightmare. A nightmare. Also, I like beer, and so I drank it.
So you tried for like half a minute.
Oh, no, I did the gluten-free thing for a good few months.
Oh, okay.
And I thought, I don't know if it's making that much difference, but it is pissing me off.
Did you count your farts?
Yep.
Were they up or down?
Secret, I'll tell you next week. Okay. So anyway, this is all because I saw a meta-study recently. It was published in The Lancet, but the authors put it in the conversation. And they were talking about non-coeliac gluten insensitivity.
Okay.
So celiacs,
yep.
That's where your body's immune system actually attacks itself when it eats gluten, and it leads to inflammation, damage to the gut, etc.
Yep.
And it can be quite serious for the people who actually have it, quite serious. That's less than 1% of the population. The study is basically a meta-analysis. They don't say that, but it smells like it was. 58 studies covering gluten issue symptoms under all kinds of different conditions and different ways they could arise. They focused on the immune system, the gut barrier, microbes in the gut, of course, and your, quote, psychological explanation. So overall, gluten-specific reactions were uncommon, they said, and when they do occur, the changes in symptoms from pre and post gluten, etc., are actually very small. So there's not a lot of it, gluten insensitivity, non-celiac.
Really?
Yeah. So maybe there's some confounds we need to look into here.
Yeah, okay.
Like your FODMAPs. FODMAPs. You've heard of FODMAPs, haven't you?
Tell the listener so then I can find out too.
You're finding out for them. You're very nice. Fermentable, for F. Oligosaccharides.
Oh.
Simply sugars. Disaccharides, so there you got the FOD. They're, of course, double sugars because you die.
I'm glad I don't have to remember this. Are you going to give it to me in English as well?
Yeah, the sugars. Monosaccharides, single molecule sugars. Yeah. Sugar. And I'd cut it off. Anyway, other sugars, but not the part that you find in booze. So your FODMAPs are a whole bunch of kinds of sugars.
Wow, what an explanation this is.
I know, and a fermentable bit, which are not gluten.
Onions are fermentable.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Right, they are.
that can be onions, garlic, many fruits, beans, also wheat. All of these can be FODMAPs.
Okay,
but not necessarily gluten-y.
Okay, are they good or bad?
Depends on you.
Wow,
and they can give you terrible symptoms as well.
We're getting such a result here. What am I to do here?
So you're going like, so maybe it's gluten, but maybe it's 8 million other things as well, making me do the 9 farts a minute.
So it's not the gluten.
Well, it might be, but it might not.
If one was worried about the number of farting, then
look to you
ponder the gluten and you go, oh no, maybe it's my other things.
What about everything else as well, or not, or a combination thereof? And the big conclusion, one of them, some people may be truly sensitive to gluten. However, current evidence suggests it's uncommon. So that's good. But for me, the most interesting bit, because, I'm an extremely anciently former medical anthropology and psychology guy,
okay,
extremely long time ago. So I love anything to do with brains and health and thinking and health.
Yeah.
So your nocebo effect is coming in, your reverse of your placebo, they suspect. So they did these blinded trials. People had no idea whether they were eating a gluten food or a placebo.
Oh, can you really fake it?
Yep.
People can tell.
Can they?
I can.
You can tell. I can give you anything and you go like, gluten.
I can.
Could you do the percentage?
Sure, down to 3 decimal points. Screw it, whatever.
We're going to push pause. I'm going to get some ingredients. We're going to find out. So the differences in symptoms between the two groups when people didn't know, almost no difference. Like symptomatically, you couldn't tell them apart, whether they were gluten or not gluten. And he said many participants who believed they were gluten sensitive reacted equally or even more strongly to the placebo. So they're like, I'm in a gluten study. I'm eating this thing.
Yep.
Ow, my stomach, etc., etc.
Even though it's
with
a placebo.
Even though
placebo, so it didn't have gluten.
Gluten-free. I know.
Right.
So conclusion from that, they say, combination of expectancy and actual gluten intake had the largest effect on gastrointestinal symptoms. So if you expected to have a problem and you did have gluten, that was the most potent effect. So the expectation accelerated and advanced the effect.
You're saying that aside from celiacs, that largely people's insensitivity to gluten is largely going to be a cultural thing. Like
could be.
They've heard that gluten makes people bad, and they're like, oh, it does make me bad.
I've got the farts. It's like, but you just ate 17 cans of chickpeas and you drank 4 beers. It's like, it's definitely gluten then, which it isn't. So what they say though, be careful. Don't just dismiss your psychologicals because there's a lot going on here. Like they say in brain imaging, your expectation and your emotions activate brain regions involved in pain and threat perception. So that heightens gut symptoms. You're kind of going, I expect this is going to cause me trouble. You get this elevated arousal, as it were, in the systems, particularly related to gut sensations, and it basically amplifies all the feelings. So if you just get a slight tweak in your stomach, you're like, oh, fuck, it really hurts, and it's got to be my gluten sensitivity. Okay. So there's stuff that actually could be going on. So could mean people believe they have a gluten problem even when they're shown evidence, they still don't believe they don't. They think they have a gluten problem. They're shown that you actually didn't eat any gluten. They go, yeah, but I do. Like, it's really quite resistant to counter programming, so to speak. So what can you do if you think you might be gluten worried? Gluten, sensitive.
If you think you might be gluten worried,
do you suspect you're gluten maimed? Let's call it gluten maimed.
Really?
Do you get maimed by gluten? If you wonder if you do. What about getting a test? Well, there isn't a biomarker for gluten insensitivity, so you can't get a blood test. You can for celiac, but it's just like, I'm going to test your blood. It's definitely blood. That's it. Can't tell you anything else. So the authors say, here's what we recommend, clinicians. Rule out celiac disease.
Sure.
Yeah. Rule out wheat allergy. The hair test, obviously. Optimize the quality of someone's diet. Yes. Try low FODMAP diets. I've tried one of those. They're not fun. It's difficult. Only then consider 4 to 6 week dietary supervised gluten-free trial followed by structured reintroduction of gluten-containing foods to see whether gluten truly causes symptoms. So you're probably thinking, fuck it, and some people do this. I'll just avoid gluten. I'll just eat gluten-free anyway, just in case. So it turns out, I didn't know this, gluten-free foods on average are 139% more expensive than foods that aren't gluten-free.
Of course they are.
139%, not 140.
That's the tax. Poor gluten-free people.
I know. They also apparently can be lower in fibre and key nutrients, and they can fuck with your microbiomes and reinforce food anxiety and eating. So they're saying, don't preemptively do this necessarily because it might not help, and in fact it could cause other problems, including extreme poverty, etc. So is gluten bad or good, and are many people insensitive to gluten? The answer is yes, no, maybe, and it depends. You're welcome. Thank you, science.
What a clear thing you have given me. Wow.
I reckon the trick is just stay calm, man.
Just stay calm.
Then your stomach will stay calm. The moment I calmed down, I went down as a 20-year-old to fighting only twice an hour.
Well, that was your little bit of science for the week.
Your holiday edition, your special by the pool wearing a bikini edition.
But because you're on holiday, you know that you still have the power to give us the rating that you need to give us.
Yeah, 7 stars on every app, even things that don't do podcasts.
Yeah, go out there and rate it on like a recipe app.
And Uber and Yelp. Is it Yelp still a thing?
I think so.
I don't know, I'm at a restaurant.
And listener, if you've got some topics that you want us to explore,
tell Will.
How would we tell Will?
His number is 0405.
Not like that.
Cheers at a little bit of science.com.au.
Do that. We want your stories.
Yeah, we want to hear from you.
Love you, listener. Enjoy the pinas colada.
Oh, and the
Pina colada.
Pina coladia.
Pina coladia.
Of the clay.
Pina coladi.